In this section of the course, we'll be looking at how to determine the number of zeros in a quadratic function. There's three possible cases. A quadratic function can have 0, 1, or 2 zeros. Our first case is when there is no zeros. There's two ways in which this can happen. In the first way, a is a positive value. Okay, so a is greater than 0. Along with this, our vertex has to be above the x-axis. When we sketch this, it could look something like this. Okay, so here you can see our parabola. Our vertex is above the x-axis, and a is positive, so our parabola opens up. Because the two ends of the parabola extend towards infinity in the positive direction, it'll never cross the x-axis and thus never have any intercepts or zeros. The other scenario is that a is a negative value, and our vertex is below the x-axis. Again, if we were to sketch this, it might look something like this. So you can see our vertex is below the x-axis, a is a negative value, so our parabola opens down. The second case that we'll look at is when there's 1 0 in a parabola. This can occur when a is positive, and our vertex is on the x-axis. Okay, so sketching this, it might look something like this. Okay, so sketching it, it might look something like this, where our parabola opens up, but our vertex is directly on that x-axis. This can also occur when a is negative. Again, if our vertex is on the x-axis. So again, in the sketch, it might look something like this, where our vertex is located on the x-axis. Again, in this case, the a value does not matter. So a can be positive or negative. It won't affect the number of zeros, assuming the vertex lies on the x-axis. In our third and final case, this exists where a quadratic function has 2 zeros. For this to occur, again, a can be a positive value, and if a is positive, our vertex is below the x-axis. Okay, so sketching it, we might see something where it looks like this. Our vertex is below the x-axis, a is positive, so our parabola opens up, and we have our 2 zeros at these 2 points here. If a is a negative value, then our vertex is above the x-axis. We will have 2 zeros. So if my vertex was up here, and a is negative, my parabola is going to open down, and I have 2 zeros at these 2 points. So after examining the 3 cases, we want to look at how we can calculate the number of zeros algebraically. To do this, we use something called the discriminant. The discriminant is equal to b squared minus 4ac. Where again, a, b, and c come from standard form of a quadratic function. The discriminant itself comes from the root in the quadratic formula. Okay, so we can use that to help us remember what the discriminant is. Based on the value of the discriminant, that tells us the number of zeros. Okay? When b squared minus 4ac gives us a value less than 0, so a negative number, we know that there are no zeros. If b squared minus 4ac is equal to 0, we know that there is 1 0. And when b squared minus 4ac is greater than 0, so a positive number, we know there are 2 zeros.